That's me. Go ahead.
Keep going.
Right, and that goes with the two non-UCCs.
Yep. That seems to be it. Yeah, I sent my old non-UCC from, I guess, about 2 weeks ago in, and it really upset some people. They did not like it.
Yeah,
Who did it upset, and how?
What was that? Who got upset?
Who did it upset, and how were they upset?
Well, it was one of them was regarding a case with my wife's real estate license, and evidently the real estate commissioner called her broker as a result of sending the UCC in.
Yeah, because from what Patrick says, that this foundational document ought to screw up a lot of court activity too.
Yeah.
Which document are you referring to?
The non-UCCs, namely the mining contract one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, basically, the title of the file is Certified Copy of My Civilly Alive Non-UCC Example.
Yeah, I have a ticket they
only
might
had
be
one.
active from a couple of weeks back. I sent them a copy of the old UCC for me, and they just marked the case inactive. So I think we're going to send them the updated one along with the endorsed driver's license and see if they'll cash the account for me.
It's a non-UCC one.
Yeah, I've got mine ready to go. I got to get my printer going tomorrow.
It is important to have a printer.
Okay, there's some changes that are going to have to be made to these. Okay, this is Patrick. I'm on the line.
Okay.
Okay, you got the recording going?
Yes, going.
Okay. We've been touching all around it about child labor and everything, okay? These have to be a labor lien. I got a message from a person the other day that basically we're going to have a property tax sale on their house not too far away, about 30 miles away. I tried to tell them to get in touch with me, and they needed to place a labor lien over their property. Okay? One of the key things in labor is that labor has to be paid first before any other settlement can be made. Okay? Labor liens do not expire, and they must be paid prior to property transfer. Okay? So you put a labor lien against your place, okay, and doing it under this UCC, non-UCC registered mailing that we're doing, and then you have the superior hammer over them. And you've got to be paid your labor for your COLA, employees out there that are working for the state. They are the inhabitant of the employment office of that construction contract. Okay? You are the owner of your employee bailors or in COLAs, okay, and they are civilly dead laborers. Okay? You are a republic civis. You are civilly alive. You've got to break that presumption in any court action or anything you go into. You are coming in as the bailee, your fictional person, contracted employee is the bailor, and also the incola, civilly dead laborer. Okay, they only do labor on a piece of paper. So they don't have any civil rights. You'd have all your civil rights when you declare you are civilly alive and you are a republic civis. You were either born a state republic civis or you were naturalized as a United States republic civis. Okay? They can't bring a living person into the fictional world. The courts try and put you into that world, but we know that they're all totally operating in fraud. And if the courts refuse you to allow payment, a labor payment, to set off the debt, then basically who's the one that's in violation of the law? They are in violation of Title 15 U.S.C. Section 1 and 2. You get a traffic ticket. It's called a labor ticket, a certificate or memorandum given to an employee showing him entitled to a certain amount of pay for a certain amount of work. That's what all these bills are. All these certificates are. They're saying that we have that much pay coming. We have to turn around and give that back to them. Say, here's the pay slip. But you have to turn it back around exponentially as a labor payment. Now, in 1913, there was another item that took place besides the income tax and the Federal Reserve out here. And this took place in March. They created the Department of Labor. The government don't do no damn labor. So what's this Department of Labor? It's our labor. And our commercial laboring in colas. So, where should we be sending our labor claims to? From what I can see now, I think it's the Department of Labor. Since we know everything out here for these contracts is a labor contract. And the Department of Labor would be the paymaster for the labor. That's the way I'm looking at it, okay, now, okay? I haven't changed that much in the process because we were already talking about labor in the thing, but now we have to address it a little more refined in the process and go after the labor that basically is owed to us, to our fictional persons that we have out there working for us. Well, they're really working for the government, but we have to come in and pick up their labor for them because they can't. So they're the bailor, those in COLA, and we're the bailee as the Republic Civis, the secured party bailee. And their labor is a bailment labor lien that we're going to put on this 13-digit registered mail, non-UCC. Their labor contract account number is a 9-digit number. And then United States or the state of bankrupt commercial contractor corporations are the surety holders of the 11-digit contractor commercial payment bonds and performance bonds, which together they make up a fidelity bond. But they're under an 11-digit number. Now that means that basically the certificate of live birth started out as a payment and performance bond from the get-go, because most of them are all 11 digits in this country. And they're with the Department of Labor. Okay? Not the Bureau of Vital Records, not the Social Security, is not with the Social Security Department, it's with the Department of Labor, since these are all labor contracts. And like I said, a labor lien does not expire, and they must be paid prior to property transfer. That's why you always put a labor lien over your vehicle, over your house, whatever. You gave with your signature. You gave a letter of credit transfer. They turned around and set up a fictional person, an Incola person, who is civilly dead, has no civil rights. He don't have no rights at all. And then basically the courts and everything try and attach you to being that Incola person. But you have to do your UCCs, and then you present them into the court and say, hey, here, I've got control over this. I'm the Bailee. You come into that court as a Bailee, not the trustee, not the executor, not any of those other things. There is no executor, executrix, or anything like that on the UCC form. That is English bullshit law. Shit. Trustee, trustor, that's English bullshit. We're operating under Roman law, okay? And Roman law is what this UCC is, and the term that they use is Bailee Bailor. Consignor, consignee. Licensee, licensor. But there's no trustee, trustor, executor, executee, whatever. You know what the real law is, and basically we are under Roman law, whether you like it or not. The Roman Empire is still here. The law is now cast in iron, and that is Christ. This was foretold over 4,000 years ago by Daniel with the statue of Nebuchadnezzar. Clay over iron right now. And the clay is the bullshit coming out of England and all the religious churches out here putting all their bullshit covering up the iron. Look up all the words that begin with labor in Valentine's. Look up back pay. Back pay. Unpaid or uncollected salary or wage to which an employee is entitled. Back pay orders. Strike. To eliminate. To expurge. You're going to go on strike until your employee gets paid. A labor strike. Yeah, the Department of Labor was created in 1913, the same year the Federal Reserve was, and the same thing the year that the income tax was. It was created in March. It is not a constitutional department. It's a department of. So what is it a derivative of? Our labor. Our person's labor. It's not their labor. It's labor that belongs to somebody else. And that labor belongs to us because we're the owners of those employees that we have leased out or contracted out to these other entities, these commercial contractors. Most all of your INCOLA, labor commercial INCOLA contracts are under a 9-digit account number. Social Security, driver's license, state ID, mortgage contract, corporate EINs, certificate of title to property, car, truck, house, business, etc. The postal zip code, 9-digit postal zip code. Prisoner numbers in the federal or state pens. They all have a commercial labor contract account number. That's what they are. And then basically these contractors, okay, these bankrupt contractors, they have to turn around and have liens and bonds written. So they do a UCC under over those accounts, and then they create a 11-digit account number. Why are most all of the chief financial officers in all the banks normally a 33rd degree Mason? Because they deal in 3 11s. 11, 11, and 11. 33. But when you stand with your 3 13s, you're a 39 degree. You're at the pinnacle of the structure. See, they don't talk about all these other levels out here. They try and put some of this misguided stuff out there in the process, but they never, people don't look at what the numbers are. The tail feathers on the eagle in the Great Seal. What is it? It's 9 tail feathers. Those 9 are below the eagle. So the eagle is standing over that account, those 9-digit accounts. But he still owns his tail feathers. And then when you turn 9s upside down, what do you get? You get the 666, the mark of the beast. So that's about all I've got. A couple other things dealing when you get rid of your license, state license on your vehicle, and you get your certificate of title back to the vehicle, the manufacturer's title, to where the state has no claim over that. You want to put on there somewhere, not for hire. You also want to go and take that advertisement label that the car dealership puts on there. If you're advertising for somebody else, whether you're getting paid for it or not, it's still implied that you're operating in the commercial world. So you definitely have to get that little sticker off there. something that most people would sort of forget and not take off. You can also get a bumper sticker that says no soliciting. Because that's all the cop's trying to do when he comes up and sees you. He's trying to solicit a contract from you. But yes, you need to get all of your labor liens out there. Okay, either you close them completely down or pick up so much value out of them. You get your claim in, then when you get to property tax or whatever, you can turn around and send that back and say, set off per this lien. Here's a certified copy of my lien that I have in place. Now you have to set that off per this lien. Because they're saying they owe you that much payment, labor payment. And they have to take that payment in payment of the bill. If they don't, they are restricting your right of trade for Title 15, Section 1, Title 15 USC, Section 1 and 2. And the courts are definitely monopolizing the trade laws out here. See, we don't need to go to court. We can settle this out beforehand. We get the labor payments and then send them back appropriately to make the payments that are needed. But we have to get the labor payments from the contracts or INCOLA persons to set them off. And as we're the Bailee, we have the authority to do that. Okay, does anybody have any questions about misunderstandings or understandings or whatever about this, about labor and about who is who? Is there anybody alive out there?
Is everybody muted?
Star
No,
6 to
not
unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Nobody's muted, except the ones who muted themselves.
Okay, anybody got
Yeah,
any questions?
You brought this up before, Patrick, in terms of mechanics liens. This is the same thing as mechanics liens, right?
This is strictly a labor lien, okay? Now, we don't need to do the mechanics lien and file it into the county.
Right.
We do this under our registered mail as a non-UCC under the registered mail. And then we will send out certified copies of our registered mailing, non-UCC. We are the holders of our records. We don't need the county. They only need the county can do all the commercial and basically all the state, county, country records. But we are a principality. We can take care of our own records. Never trust somebody else with your rights and powers, or else you'll lose them. Now, basically, you can add to it. You can take a mechanics lien and modify the document so that basically you list everything that you have to have, and then you, in block 4 on your UCC, you can say, see attached sheet, and attach another sheet to that UCC. We're the creator. We're the God out here, okay? And we can create our own shit. If we're holding it, we can add to it and subtract from it. You can't do that with the filings with the state and with the counties. They've got to have it in their specific format. So why even bother using them? We put a labor lien against the postal system. We put a labor lien against the state labor department. Every state has to have a Department of Labor. Look up the definition. Labor Department, administrative department of the United States government, headed by the Secretary of Labor, a comparable department of a state government is the Labor Department, or the Department of Labor. Really is the title that they are. And see, you go into bankruptcy, what is that trustee doing? To set off your credit cards or your mortgage or whatever. He's drawing against your United States or state INCOA employees' labor payments that are due him. Same thing if you go into court and you say, hey, I'm insolvent. They have to go and draw against your INCOA's labor. Because the traffic tickets, the court cases, they're not against you, the living, they're against the employee. The INCOA. He's the inhabitant of that contract, and he is his inhabit or place of residence is where his mail's delivered, which is the same place you're living. That's why there's a mix-up in who's who. Any questions? Come on, people.
Got questions, Patrick?
Yeah.
Well, I'm back. I've been gone, so I'm gonna sound green when I ask these questions. My first question is about the power of attorney, and can we? I mean, the registered mailing in regards to the power of attorney, is that the same process as well, or does that need to be recorded with the county?
No.
Is you talking
you
about
on your document? You claim private attorney general, that you have the power of a private attorney general in your principality, your kingdom. That's what a principality is a kingdom. You're the king or now of that kingdom. You were a prince, now you've graduated to king.
Okay, but I need documentation to support that, right or wrong? Or am I just stating that?
Your word is your documentation. And basically, when you fill out this UCC under a registered mail number, that is the highest recording. That is higher than the Secretary of State, higher than the county. It's recorded in the post office system, that number. 13 digits. The county and the state do not operate on the 13-digit systems. Because the 13 digits is basically what's on the seal of the country. That's the people's seal when they come alive. The number of man plus his spirit of understanding, 13. Now you stand as the government of the country. You are no longer a slave to them. You never were, but you didn't know that. Because of all this misguided information that people keep putting out here. It says in every constitution out here, we the people, we are the ones that created this banking contract for the government, for this commercial banking government to operate by. They couldn't create it, and they sure as hell didn't create us. Okay?
Okay.
So your word is the word. And these corporations cannot rebut your word. Okay? You go into if you want to do an affidavit, do an affidavit. But basically, I think that as soon as you do this and you have it under registered mail, you've got the documentation now, and you send out a certified copy. They have to come back and try and rebut that, and they can't. Just like an affidavit. They can't rebut an affidavit if they're in the commercial world, unless you totally screwed it up somehow, claiming something that you didn't have the right to claim. But they know you've got the right to claim power of attorney. They know you have the right to be a private attorney general because you're a principality. You've got to know that. You've got to be able to defend this stuff. If you can't defend this, don't do it. That's the bottom line. Because you'll put yourself in a worse scenario, and then you won't know how to get out of it. I know you people think that basically, oh, hell, he's changing direction again. I'm not really changing direction. I was talking about labor all along. Now I see that we have to bring it to the forefront, and now I really see, since I haven't gotten anything back from the trustees or from the Social Security office or anything, and they got mine yesterday, and I haven't heard anything yet today from either one of those places, the Bureau of Biostatistics or anything. So, there must be something slightly wrong. And the problem is it needed to go to the Department of Labor because these are all labor contracts. These were construction contracts that these corporations, the state and the state of, and the banks and everything else, they're construction contracts. They constantly add more rooms to the building, to the skyscraper. Every year, they add a new COLA, or not a COLA, but what the hell am I trying to think? CAFR. They add a new CAFR room to your skyscraper because they have to zero out the CAFR account at the end of the year because these are corporation accounts. So basically you're adding a new building or a new account room to that building that they're constructing. They're also constantly changing the contract itself by adding new statutes to it. So that contract, that constructive contract, is constantly in a state of flux also. You got to know how the game is played, and we've been right there. Okay, it was just we thought that we needed to go to the Bureau of Vital Statistics. We thought we needed to send it back to the Social Security account because that's where they came from. But no, they all had to pass through and basically be accounted for in the Department of Labor. And then the Department of Labor would be, from what I could see, the paymaster for the labor.
So, Patrick, are you saying that now all the non-UCC...
Speak up a little.
Are you saying that all the non-UCC should just now go to the Department of Labor at the state level or at the federal level?
It all depends on which contract you're working with.
Okay.
Yeah, see, the birth certificate is under a state, would be with the state labor department.
Okay.
And it's tied to the United States Labor Department. Both of them are using it. That basically that certificate of title is really under a state labor contract.
Right.
Okay? Now, the Social Security one would be with the United States Labor Department. The postal system, 9-digit account number there, and their 11-digit lien number, like Iowa, IA, and then my 9-digit zip code, that would be going to the United States Department of Labor.
Okay, I get it.
And then all of our SF 1047s, that's where our claims should be going, and claiming all the penalty envelopes and everything else should be going to the Department of Labor.
Okay. And then the one that we're still sending everything to the trustees for the bankruptcy, right?
We don't need to now.
Well, we don't need to now.
We could inform him, basically, and then basically if anything does come up, and basically send one back to whoever, okay, like with the Secretary of State or whoever, like for the property, the driver's license, send a copy to the Department of Transportation that you've got a labor lien over that item, and then basically they're going to probably flag you, green sheet you out here. Hey, don't write any tickets against this guy because basically we're going to have to pay him anyway. Right.
Can I go back unless anybody's got some pressing issues to kind of some remedial things, because we're all caught up, we've got all of our stuff and we're kind of ready to start sending these documents out, and I just needed some clarity. So we've got the affidavit of American, and that's our foundation letter basically, and that we include our hospital birth certificate and the baptismal. Is that right?
You do those, and basically you can do those registered mail too, okay? You can either put them into the county or just do them registered mail back to yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we do our the first two non-UCCs. One is the private attorney general. The second one is for the postmaster general. We do that the same way. We send those back to ourselves, and then we have certified copies, and then we send them out as well, right? So that's 1, 2, and 3.
I have to take a look at those documents again.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And
I'm
then,
trying to work up a new write-up for the UCC to basically put the labor in there, these non-UCCs, and put the labor in there, and then turn around and send them back out. I just got another 3 in a day, so I've gotten about 8 of them I've sent out and got back. So now I'm going to have to redo several of them again and send them back out.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it until I get it right. Okay?
No. We've made a lot of mistakes, too. We're going to keep doing it until we get it right, too. Yeah. I was still waiting, and I'm sorry for the remedial questions, but how do we endorse the back of our birth certificates? What are the words that we say on there?
I had Tom post that up on the site. Special endorsement, I think, is what the title of it was.
Okay, we'll look for it.
It started with that. Special SS card endorsement is the latest one.
I didn't catch any of that. It was a little mumbled.
Special SS card endorsement is the one on May 26th.
Okay.
Yeah, special SS card endorsement example.
Okay, great. And that's the same words that we put on the back of our birth certificates, right?
Somewhat. You'd have to modify it to say the appropriate, but there again,
Right.
It's going to have to be modified to claim the labor, okay? So it's got to come and press that now instead of what I was doing there on the item.
Okay.
And then I've got to change that around that we will basically put a lien claim up to like $47 billion, but we will we're not going to be placing a lien against the United States for that amount, but that's what we're liening our person with, and basically whatever the final settlement will be after the accounting is shown to us, that's what we will accept when we are given an official accounting.
Okay, so then the liens, the non-UCCs that we have right now, which we were getting ready to jump into, the mining one, these are gonna be altered a little bit, right?
Yeah, they're going to have to be altered because we're coming in after our labor on those mining contracts, our labor mining contracts.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, Patrick, it's Johnny. I came in a little late. I haven't been in a few of the conferences, but it might be something you might have answered. But anyway, the non-UCC, we are filing it in Maryland because they're the only state that has international agreements. And are we filing as an international organization?
No. We are putting these in as a non-UCC under registered mail and sending them back to ourselves.
Okay.
We're the holders of these. Read the instruction on page 2 of the UCC. It does not say it has to be filed at the county, at the state. It says wherever the record needs to be recorded at, and that is your records. So you hold the original. You keep it in an unopened envelope, the original, but you run copies of it, and then you can certify those copies because you're the holder of the original, and then you can send those certified copies out. Simple. We don't need the involvement. We don't need the delay time from the state or anything like that, or the county to go in and argue. Hey, why aren't you filing this? Are you going to argue with yourself? No. You're just going to do it.
Right.
No argument. You come in peace, and then we're going to get our piece of the pie.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
When you mail that certified register to somebody that you want to record that record for you, the certified copy, not the original, by law, by the statutes, the second that they receive it, it's recorded.
Right. It's delivered.
It's delivered, and you have your proof of delivery already and acceptance through the post office.
Right. And you just send those out by certified mail. You don't need to do those registered.
Correct. That's what I thought I said, but that's exactly right. Okay. There's also a rule, I think, in Black 620 or something like that says that a natural person is not subject to the fees. They were only made for artificial persons.
Right.
Okay.
And See, that's where we're going to come back in and we're going to get all of our labor payments that we've been making and depositing with the post office and everything, the postal labor payments, and we've got the receipt of all those labor payments that we've been making on behalf of our fictional person. So we can submit all those 1047s that we have onto these receipt claims and their labor receipt payments. So we would submit those, I think, now into the Department of Labor. So we need to submit the appropriate UCC, non-UCC registered mail claim document or leaning document in there first, and then reference that on this 1047 form based upon my registered mail, non-UCC. I am submitting this claim for labor payment, and here's my receipts.
Patrick, what is the significance of an agricultural lien on the UCC file?
What's the what?
The significance of the agricultural lien.
Well, that's a labor lien also. You can make that a labor lien, like against the farm or something like that, against land.
You're reading the UCC 9 and it's talking about agricultural lien. What's the word just before agricultural lien, and every time you run across the UCC 9 for the gentleman that asked Patrick the question?
I was under the impression that everything was under agriculture and commodities.
Well, there's a security interest and or a security interest and or an agricultural lien. They're almost treated the same.
They're pretty much, you've got a security interest in everything in all these contracts you have. And basically the security interest is the labor that your INCOA person has been doing. Your employee or bailor, he's going to be the bailor to you of the bailment of all the labor that he has coming due. That's the bailment that's going over to you as the bailee. And see, he's civilly dead, but you're civilly alive, so basically you can act as his bailee, or how the English call it, trustee. That's what the term they used back in 1799 here in this country, that basically if someone got incarcerated, they could turn around and assign a trustee to handle their assets for them.
Yeah.
But the person that was incarcerated was classified as civilly dead, so therefore something can only be operated by someone who is civilly alive, and that means that the bailee or trustee had to be civilly alive. See, they try and get us to, by presumption, that's how all these damn bar attorneys and everything operate, and fraud is by presumption. And they're presuming you're the opposite of what you really are.
They're going by an unstated presumption.
Yeah. And then they never give you full disclosure of what they have out there. And see, that's one other thing you need to bring in against them their interest in the process of making a judgment call. If they have an interest in the process, they can't make a judgment. If they're getting a benefit, that is an interest in the security transaction. And all these guys are out here because basically they are getting a kickback from those securities, from the improper handling of the securities by the bankers or whoever, to benefit them by way of the public employees retirement program system, the PERS. And every state has a PERS system. Here in Iowa, it's called IPERS. And that's like an additional retirement. There was never supposed to be any retirement for public employees in this country. Because they knew that if they started paying a retirement to them, they would soon be controlled by the bankers. Because the bankers control all the interest bonds and everything else that are associated with these retirement programs. Our founding fathers were not dumb. They tried to put the protections in, but we, the people, are the dumb ones because we did not hold the public officials' feet to the fire and revoke most all of these damn statutes that basically have taken powers away from the men in this country. One thing I must point out to you women, if you come out of this system, you are going to lose all those rights that basically they have put in for you, like right to vote and everything else. Those are not per the Constitution. And they're diminishing the rights and powers protected by the 9th and 10th Amendment for the men of the country. The vote on the corporation government was to be a family vote. One vote per family. And a man, when he turned the age of 21, he was supposed to have started his own family. His own principality. So then he would have his right to vote, his principality. Does any of this making any sense to you people? Do you understand? Do you have any rebuttals or anything?
That makes sense.
You think I'm off target? Say so. You think there's a better way? Say so.
The only thing that I would like to add to the people that want to be noticed is the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management.
Well, see, basically the Bureau of Land Management, you can put a lien against them, okay, in the process, because basically you have a labor lien there also. Okay, just like you have a labor lien against the Federal Reserve Bank against the tariff taxes that are coming into this country that are being held in the Federal Reserve Bank. You have a claim of labor payment from those also. Now, most of the stuff under the Bureau of Land Management really is under the also under the military DD 214 forms, because see, the land really belongs to the people, and basically the military has a military bounty land lien against a vast amount of that land that's being held under the Bureau of Land Management.
Would it surprise you to know that they also keep the vital records as well?
Well, basically, the Department of Labor is the one that's holding the bonds, okay? They may hold the records, but they don't hold the payment, the labor payments.
Hello, I got a question. Patrick, you there?
Yeah.
Listen, okay, so I want to ask a quick question in regards to the one gentleman. He had stated that the agricultural lien was somewhat similar to, were you saying like a non-UCC filing or something like that? You said it was somewhat similar to it, but I just was wondering what would be the slight difference if that's the case. If you even remember what I'm speaking of.
One's a security interest and the other one's an agricultural lien. That's the difference.
Okay, say that one more time. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
One's a security interest and one's an agricultural lien.
Okay. I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, see, the agriculture was primarily for the farmers out here, the land farmers, okay? But it's sort of been merged in there in the process. You're still doing a labor, land labor mining. You're mining the land, and basically somebody else is mining a security, like working in a shop or something like that. He has basically a security labor lien for his labor that he is turning into gold and silver by his labor. A farmer basically brings something up out of the ground and then takes that product to town and then basically converts that into gold and silver. So there's still a mining claim in the process, a mining labor claim. Everything has to do starting out with labor.
Well, I guess I want to follow up with. From my understanding and from my research, that the certificate of live birth was considered like your deed title to your land, and you considered the land or the collateral, which is why, in terms of the agricultural lien, I was a little interested in that. Kind of piqued my interest.
No, certificate of live birth was initially basically an inheritance claim against the treasury of the country.
Right. Okay.
That's the way I'm looking at it. It started out right off the bat. The claim that stated
that you were the creditor, right? That you were the creditor. It was a claim that you are the creditor and that they were indebted to you.
It made us the secured party, okay?
Right. All right.
And then basically from that, we could issue out credits from that, okay, as under letters of credit.
Gotcha.
Our signature is basically our title, and basically your title is a marketable security in the process. Your signature is a marketable security. So basically that is a letter of credit just by your signature alone.
Okay.
And then see, they've been assigning the value to that signature in these contracts. Like a credit card. Basically, the signature on a credit card is normally around $2 million. With your bank account, checking account, savings account items, normally you also have a $250,000 insurance letter of credit sitting there with the FDIC.
Patrick, I got another question. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just something that's on my mind, and it could be a little bit off the beaten path here, but I was listening to like a 15-minute snippet of a show that had taken place back in April of this year, and it was a lady who had called in and said that she took her 1522 and affixed her Social Security, her endorsed Social Security card. Can you expound on that a little bit? I mean, I know you probably already have, but could you just give me a little bit more on that in terms of just doing that process, or is that something?
No, we're not doing that process.
Okay, all right.
Don't do the 1522. Basically, we just have to come in and put our labor claims in, okay, under the bailment, and do it under the registered mailing, and put these claims in, and basically, like I said, they have to settle labor payments under a labor lien.
Okay.
Labor is the one thing, and see, labor is not to be taxed. You don't use wages. Okay, wages stands for a wagering bet. Okay, that's really where wager comes in. You are gambling.
Patrick, I have another question. Why can we not use the secured agreement between the debtor and the secured party on the non-UCC?
Because basically, most all these contracts are labor contracts. So basically, your fictional person has to do a bailment over to you, and you become the bailee.
Okay.
Then, as the bailee, you can order the payment settlement.
Okay.
You're still the secured party. Secured party would be if you want to do a set-off out here. But to close down the account, you would want to come in as basically the Bailee Bailor scenario to terminate the account. See, as the debtor secured party, you really don't have the full power to close down the account, the way I'm looking at it now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it in that regards. But as a Bailee Bailor, and you're the bailee, you can order, just like a trustee-trustor scenario, as the trustee, you can order the termination of the trust. Well, see, as the bailee, you can order the termination of the bailment, the liquidation of it.
Because as a bailee or a trustee, as you said, I'm responsible for that, right?
Yeah, bailee and trustee are basically synonymous with one another. But see, we're operating under the Roman system, so it's Bailee, Bailor, and not the English system of trustee, trustor, or executor, executrix, and you never want to be an ex anyway. I mean, ex, basically, you got rid of your ex-wife or your ex-husband. Why would you want them back? An ex, basically, is something that's dead. See, that ex-husband or that ex-wife is dead to you. Well, these guys are not dead. We're resurrecting them from the dead. See, an executor doesn't resurrect anything from the dead. They just play around with the dead.
Okay.
See, your fictional persons are not really dead. They're just lost at sea. You've got to bring them home. Okay? You got to bring Tom Hanks back home. Okay? He was declared civilly dead because he was lost at sea. But he was still alive. But he came home from sea and basically he was still alive. So our fictional persons are not really dead because they're still working. They can't be dead if they're working. Right?
Yes.
But they have no civil rights because they have been declared civilly dead. And all we have to do is bring them back and show that they're not dead by claiming their labor. You claim their labor and basically, well, holy shit. If he has this much labor, he must have been alive that whole damn time. He must have been working. Sometimes you have to think about these things a little longer than 3 or 4 days. I'm sorry that I haven't had and can't think of all these things right away. And you guys have got to help in that process. I've tried to ask you for that help.
Well, I do believe that you're onto something, Patrick. I was just wanting to kind of put things into perspective. I was only going to use the BLM notification as a switch to turn on that from the Department of Labor. You follow what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where you were going with that, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like also the Department of Interior, too. They were involved in that initial setup. And then also the IRS out of Philadelphia, because that's where the du jour treasury is located, is out of Philadelphia. And with that 98 series number that we got, that is a 9-digit account number that we will have access. And see, that really refers to the tail feathers on the eagle, that number, because we will be able to access using that 98 series number with the du jour government when we get out of the system.
I concur.
So we'll operate it under the 13-digit number in the process, PA, and then U.S. behind, PA in front, and U.S. behind, because that will be the du jour post office box that we'll be drawing from. That's the post office box for our account in the Treasury. That makes sense?
Oh, absolutely. It's just basically, I think I'm having the same challenges that one there's having, is getting that paperwork just right.
Yeah. Yeah, wording is a big thing in the process, but there's one key thing about it, okay? If you do make a small mistake, don't worry about it, because a mistake can only be made by the living. So if you make a mistake, you're definitely proving that you're alive, because the dead can't make mistakes. And you always have a right to correct a mistake if they call you upon it. If they don't call you upon it, you don't need to correct it. mean, like putting something like have instead of had, or basically putting the word in as without ing on it instead of just an e, or my instead of me. Basically, your intent is still, when you read through it, and basically that's one thing that one of the schools did, was they left out a bunch of letters in this one writing, but if you scan through it, basically you could read what was all missing. Your mind could read the document the way it was supposed to be read. And basically, when you get down to it, these attorneys, these bar attorneys, they ain't going to do a rebuttal against you if you do these things right. But in most cases, you're not even going to be talking to them. You're going to be settling these things before they ever get there. And then if they do still try and harm you, you're going to go after them under Title 15 U.S.C. Section 1 and 2 and put a lien against their commercial person, against their labor contracts. A labor claim of harm. You lose a house, you turn around and you put a labor claim against that house. Cloud the title of that person that took the house from you. Put a cloud over their title. They can't move that property now until you get paid. In other words, fuck with them. Anybody else?
I would just say, Patrick, the more that people start messing with them, the more they're going to pay attention to what's going on.
You're breaking up quite a bit. I couldn't understand what you said.
I'll try again. I said the more we mess with them, the more they're going to start to pay attention.
That's true.
And perhaps start doing things correctly.
Yeah. And see, basically like these county attorneys and everything, or county supervisors, and these people don't back down, place a labor lien against their employees' retirement system. Because they shouldn't have it to begin with. They've got more money in their labor accounts than they know what to do with. They just don't know how to access them. But if they want to mess with you and harm you, basically we've got several resources to get back at them. Legally and lawfully. Per the Constitution. One other thing, when you get your car and everything out, make up a license plate and put it under a registered mail, a 13-digit registered mail number. I would also put a picture of the seal of the United States of America with the eagle on it and the 13 stars and 13 arrows and 13 olive leaves. And now this is private mail property. And you don't fuck with the mail. Okay, anybody else? Okay, call tonight, Tom. I'll try and get these documents revised a little and sent out to you, and then bet you have something to play around with to get you started.
Okay. Very good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay,
Good,
talk to you guys
Patrick.
later. Okay.
Thanks, Patrick.
Night.
Take care, Patrick.